Well, hello. It's a Friday night. It's the 20th of December. As we approach Christmas holidays here, just wanted to start up a little stream here to have some fun, because we really enjoy doing this. I have Daryl Mason with me. Daryl, say hello to the throngs of people that are watching.
Hello to the throngs of people that are watching.
Not thongs of people, the throngs of people.
Oh, darn it.
Thongs.
Remember when thongs were just flip-flops?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I do indeed.
We're old. There's Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Daryl.
Hi, Amanda. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Mark. Thank you. Sorry, I was a little late, but
it's okay. You can wrap a present or two.
I had just dug everything out, and I saw there was a notice to join the call.
Yeah, I tried calling you, so I figured you'll see it and you'll join when you get back.
Yeah.
Very
I was
cool.
glancing every minute or two, but it must have been an off minute.
That's all right.
I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thank you.
With
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello to everybody in chat. I hope you're having a nice evening.
I think they're certainly having a good time. You know,
the Carol show was really good with Kat Thorvaldsen.
Yeah. I talked to Kat today, and
how is she?
She's very well. She's writing her astrophysics book.
Very nice.
Yep. And my first printed copy of my book is arriving tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a proof copy, just to, verify that I like the printing and the color and so forth. And so I'm really liking that. So that's gonna be great.
Super.
And on top of it, the new telescope arrived today. I ordered it 2 days ago. And it's here now. And I couldn't believe it showed up. 117 pounds of
Holy cow.
Equipment. Yeah. I was like, jeez. It's very, very heavy. And it comes apart. It's a new design, so it actually comes apart so you can mount the base, then mount the tube separately. Which is kind of a good thing,
I got something pretty heavy today.
You did?
I did.
Wow. It wasn't lead weight, was it?
No.
Oh, so that's kind of close, though.
Well, it was a weighted blanket.
Oh, that's even more fun.
From Daryl.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Daryl, you're the man.
She just had to open it, too. She can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't. I'm a kid.
Just want to say hi to Neutrino, who's here.
May it serve you well, dear.
Thank you.
That's
I think it's going to be wonderful.
Super.
Very cool.
15 pounds, dude.
Wow.
That's heavy.
Well, you know what, though? A blanket of that weight is just spectacular in the winter. Just beautiful in the winter.
Hopefully it's going to prevent me from tossing and turning all night, pin me down.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of the idea. It's what they call it, deep pressure massage or something like that.
Yeah.
It relaxes you and makes you feel like you're getting a big hug.
Exactly.
Puts you to sleep and makes you comfy and all that good stuff. Hopefully it works for you.
No, it sounds like it will.
I want to be there now.
Well, you can go if you want to.
Oh, no, I'll hang out with you guys for a bit.
All right.
Just know, in the back of my mind, I am thinking of the blanket.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you, Daryl.
Well, I hope you're welcome. Hope it works for you. I was feeling better today. I went out and hung Christmas lights.
Wow, did you?
And, yeah. Finally. I mean, it's only 5 days to Christmas, but better late than never, I guess.
That's true.
Not quite late, but and they're all old 90s style lights. I mean, it looks like a throwback, and I got a set of what I call disco Santa lights in there. My place looks like a used car lot now. It has set programs in it that you can punch a button and call
funny.
up, and it'll do a slow fade and a fast fade and a slow pulse and a fast pulse, and it'll run and it'll stop, and looks like a
That's funny.
disco dance floor or a used car lot,
Disco,
We'll see how it goes.
Wow. Well, we're here at a
Everybody
little.
else has everybody else has that modern stuff,
I
and
mean LEDs.
here I am. Oh yeah, LEDs and
Yeah.
laser projectors and all that.
Yeah.
People like all sorts of variety.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Well,
But anyway, I got something done today.
that's good. That's good. We're trying to look at NGC 7354 here. It's a little planetary nebula in I don't know what constellation this is. Cephas, sorry. This is Cepheus. And let's
The
go.
king?
Yes, sirree. Let's go see it. See if we can see it. Now I have to rotate to the right because the camera is appended. Yeah, technically, it's in this field, but
I see a little planetary nebula looking thing over to the lower left a little bit, the center.
oh yeah, there it is.
Is that what we're looking for?
That is exactly what we're looking for. That's right.
Good eyes.
And it's got that planetary nebula color to it.
Yes, it does.
That cat's eye blue color, Amanda.
And let's go get a better shot of it. It's fairly
What
faint.
did we look at last night that was so pretty? It was near the end. And it was blue.
Oh,
Darn, I can't remember.
well, we looked at several things. I don't know what we looked at last night at the end. I'm sure someone here can help us with that.
Well, it wasn't the last thing we looked at, but it was near the end,
Okay.
I thought. Well, maybe not. I could be wrong. I don't know.
No, you're not. I remember this. I remember looking at it. So you can see this little guy has some detail in it. And you can see there's a dark spot in there, which is a area, a void of materials. So we're looking through the thinnest part of it there. So this could be very well just be a sphere of material that's around the outside of this planetary nebula.
Uh-huh.
I just want to actually grab one more photo of it before we actually move on. I just wanted to show you because Amanda was here, so I figured why not show her, you know? It's a good
Sure.
thing. All right.
Was it maybe the Crystal Ball Nebula? I think we looked at that last night.
Yeah, that's not this, but the
No.
Crystal Ball Nebula is that color.
Is it blue? Yeah.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. Yep.
It's funny how the
Hey, Carolina.
thinking on such hello, Carolina.
Daisy and Zoe,
It's
you're
funny
here.
how the thinking on planetaries has evolved. Once upon a time, I bet they would have called this a torus, like a donut shape,
Yeah.
and maybe like the Ring Nebula, sort of. Now they think, well, it's spherical, and it looks like it does, because it's more concentrated around the edges, just from, whatever you would call it, and more lighter, darker in the middle, or a barrel shape, or there's all sorts of conjecture now on what
Yeah.
kind of shape some of these actually be.
That's right. That's right. One of the other things I also want to mention to everybody that I'm bringing to SkyTour LiveStream is this. We are going to be taking forays into the world of Photoshop and exploring how we actually do image processing. So we will spend some time doing it. This is the Pleiades I took, and you can see this beautiful brushed or combed look on the star Merope. And this is something that you can pull out of the data, and we can just zoom in and out, and it's really pretty. So we'll be able to check out how this all works. In fact, over here, these are called actions, and I have a number that I wrote myself, removing color cast, separating out the images into RG and B, enhancing galactic disks in the structure, getting the stars and just the stars only, defining some of the structure, getting the structure defined. I use that actually to pull this out. And then, etc., a few others. And so we'll actually do some of that as well. And maybe even tonight. I actually did one thing. I did the Fish Head Nebula. I brought it in here, and wow, within minutes I had taken a single image and pulled out a whole lot more that was in it. So I think that that's something that we will definitely be doing a lot more of, because it's fun. It's fun. You can see it live and watch what happens, So that's the other half of what we're going to do, another part of it. Now we saw this little planetary, and we are near a number of other nebulas. We are near the Wizard Nebula. Would you like to see the Wizard? Go ahead, say it.
Only if he's wonderful.
We're off to see the Wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Id. So here we go. We're going to go to the Wizard Nebula. On your left, you'll see the stars moving through. There goes some now. And if the dome needs to be moved, then I shall move it. Ronald can hardly do without you. Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about the ruby star. Nice one, Tara. Mark?
Yeah. What?
Is the wizard near the ruby star?
Oh, that's a good one. No. But let's take a look at this anyway. Let's do.
We did see the ruby star once.
Yes, we did.
I did a cryptic.
Yes,
crossword.
that's right. It's on the other side of the sky, though, I believe.
There was a very red star in your first image tonight, down in the lower right-hand corner.
Oh,
I saw it too.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was an artifact.
Well,
I wondered that also.
I will bring it up and see. First of all, I want to welcome Tara to the stream. I don't remember seeing you here before, Tara D.
Welcome.
Yes, absolutely. I think, if I don't miss my guess, that Tara is an Arizonan.
What makes you think that?
I just had a feeling. So, Tara, tell us if you are from Arizona.
Might she be a neighbor soon?
If she's from Arizona, then yes.
Yeah, first time here. Welcome.
That's great.
How did you find me, may I ask? How did you find us?
Yeah, look at her.
It's me.
Tara was on my team for the MUFON boot camp that we ran. And she's an excellent field investigator with MUFON. And I see her smiling right from here. I see that smile, Tara. And she did a great job. And, she really gets into it like she should, and she follows all the rules.
Nice.
Quite good. Yeah, quite good. So, let's see now. What were we looking for here? Oh, yes, the wizard.
The very first image you had when you
Yes. Let me
came up tonight, there was a very red star down in the bottom right corner.
Let's go find it. The very first one, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't. This one.
There it is, right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think that's really there, because I took several pictures of this.
Huh.
All right, and here it is again, and you can see that it moved the same way as the other. Here's another one of them before it moved, and you can see that's in this one too. Before it was rotated, so it's actually,
It's real.
it's real. There it is. See?
Huh.
Yeah, so very cool.
Sorry, carry on.
No, that's fair enough. That's fine. Yeah, so the Wizard Nebula is hidden in here, and you can sort of see it, but not really the best right now. Oops, let's do this, and maybe no, that's the wrong thing. Sorry. And then we take this and drop it down a little bit. Yeah, so I have to take a longer exposure. We got the Wizard Nebula the other night without any problem. But it's pretty cool. There's a lot going on up there. All right, so let's go here and bring up our little thing here.
And Mark asked
Yes.
me, and he asked chat last night, what do you think, Daryl? Do you like that little side panel he brings in, where he focuses on the star and it zooms along, like that thing?
So you have the planetarium on one side and the actual view on the other.
The split view like that?
Yes,
Yeah.
which goes away as soon as you,
Yeah, me too.
you know, so it brings it in so you can actually, you have context for where we're going. All I have to do is scroll out and you can see where we are in the sky. So you run the other side of the sky facing toward the northeast, northwest, I'm sorry. I did know that too. And then down here, we have other wonderful objects to see all throughout the winter milky-ish wayish, okay, which is sort of the milky-ish way. And I want to take a look at this right here. This is a well-known spot that I come to and frequent fairly often. It's called the Bubble Nebula, and it's just beautiful. You'll see the telescope moving up to it, and I'm hoping that the telescope is actually I'm hoping that we're just fine. I'm not sure. We may end up with dome movement required. And I will move it because I want you to see this. This is a really beautiful object.
What are we looking at?
The Bubble Nebula.
Oh, okay. Bubble. Cygnus?
No. The bubble is... Well, here's the bubble, see? The bubble is here in Cepheus. Did you say Cygnus or Cepheus?
Okay. I'm sorry, I said Cygnus. Yeah, Cygnus should be getting pretty low for you by now.
Yeah, it's
That
actually...
I was probably thinking of the Crescent Nebula, I think.
Oh, yeah, which is dead center in the middle of Cygnus, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, let's go and see what we've got. See if we got dome. Oh, we don't. Look at that. Very nice. Okay. Let's make use of that. So, curling this around, you can see the bubble right there. Is that not really a cool... Is that a cool sight or what? I mean, look at this. You can see this circular piece here. It does continue around in deeper photos. In Arizona, we'll catch all of it. But this is the Bubble Nebula, and it's really quite an amazing nebula. Now, I want to center it up, so I'm going to get us back to our view and center it up. Alright, so since I had to rotate it to the left, I have to go back real quick and just... I'm going to send it back to the right so I know which way to go. So I send it. So here's how it was. And it's up near the top of the screen. Okay. I want to bring it down and move it over. So I had to move it to the left. So I need to go eastward and northward. If I get it right. If I didn't get it right, then I'm going to be just crazy. All right, so here we go. Let's take this. Actually, let's go back here first. All right, and then bring this up, and it's going to go eastward. Was it eastward or westward? Uh-oh. And to the north. So that was my original thought. So let's just do that and see what we got.
Looks like you might want to go south instead.
Yep. I don't disagree. You know what happens, folks, is the telescope flips the field sometimes, and depending on the angle, it does it differently. So it makes me nuts to try and figure out exactly which way it's flipped the field, because there's no obvious answer, because you don't have enough stars to really trigger on. But we'll see in a second. Well, it's there. See, it's over there.
If you're in Cepheus, I assume you're past the meridian by now?
Yes.
You're in the western half of the sky? Yeah, so that'll throw you sometimes.
It does.
Because it'll seem like the telescope directions, switch all of a sudden.
Yeah, and you were right, by the way, and I needed to go this way. because I believe that's actually the star itself that has the bubble in it right here. So one more time, we're going to do this. Okay, we're calmed down now, and off we go into the wild blue yonder. The Bubble Nebula is a really cool location because it's an area where there's a very, very hot star that has expelled its outer layers, and they've moved out into the interstellar medium, but not in the same way. They've moved out in a very very differentiated way. In one direction, it comes off and moves out in a spherical manner. In other directions, there we go. In other directions, it comes off and it collides with material in the interstellar medium, as I'll show you. And when it does that, all right, it slows the material down. So here is where it's fairly smooth, comes off the star, okay, and it hits other material that's on the other side here, and that slows it down and bunches it up, which is why we see it, okay. Over here is something different. Here is where it hit a knot of density in the interstellar medium, and it bunched up there and made a very, very bright emission nebula, H2 region. Let's take this into the editor. Okay, there's the fish head from before. Okay, and now let's do something. Let's actually add some corrections to this. All right, let's go and do a little correcting here. All right, and that's pretty. And now let's actually monkey with the dynamic range, as it's called. Okay, this is gonna help push the dynamic range. Now you can see there's some other nebulae that are hiding here. You see how that shows up now? And then, yeah, and then what we'll do is play with a little bit of the contrast, just to darken up. If I go too far, okay, you say, ooh, that's pretty, but then you miss stuff. So we want to actually come back a little bit, so we can actually just get enough so we know there's still more out there. Yeah, see how pretty that is?
It is.
Yeah, and then we want to play with the shadowing here. We want to darken the background, but then if we do that, we lose the other nebulous detail. See this nebulous detail in here? Okay, and in the back here, see up here and down here, you see some nebulous detail. If we make it pretty and we want to go down to, say, drop it into the shadows, well, now, except for the little bit left here, this part down here has really kind of gone away. And we want that to show. We want that to still be there, so we want to pull that back. Just enough so that when it comes back, you can see it here. And now we can. So this is kind of a good little setting for now, but this is the Bubble Nebula, and I'm a big fan of this nebula. I've always have been, and there's so much more in here to be seen. But we have to take lots and lots of photos and do lots and lots of stacking. I've done it before, and we get more for sure. We get a lot of stuff over here and out here, but the bubble really goes around here too. It comes out and it expands out kind of oddly. It doesn't go out in the perfect sphere. It kind of expands in a long envelope out here. So you can tell that, the material hitting here is hitting like obstacles that slow it down out here, not so much. All right. And, because it's expanding evenly in all directions from the star, it'll tend to make a somewhat spherical, shock front away from the star. But then it becomes uneven out here as it starts to hit all this other dense material. And what do I mean by material? Dust, other gas, and it causes what once was a homogeneous spherical front to kind of fracture and become what we call variegated along the way. So different, and it looks really weird, But that's a really cool nebula. I'm glad we took that picture.
That's nice.
Yeah, we might.
That's just hinting at what else is there.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah. When you do some stacking, I bet that really pops.
Yeah. Well, we can actually take a few pictures here and stack them. So, and I'm at 32,000 for only 20 seconds. With the new telescope, which incidentally is right behind me on the floor in the office here, it arrived today. The new telescope will be able to sit and follow this thing perfectly and guide us perfectly. I'm going to get it all set up here, and then I'm going to be moving it to Arizona. And when I move it to Arizona, that's the point at which SkyTour LiveStream East will be down for a little while I do the installation out west. And then SkyTour West will come up, and then East will follow. That's really pretty. Yes, sirree. The old bubbly nebula. Just a beautiful location.
Oh, I bet that really pops with the filter once you stack them.
Yeah, and I am using that filter, and it's really coming along nicely. Yep. So, as far as the distance to this object, we can consult here and see if we actually can get a distance. It's supposedly it's about 5,545 light years away. All right, and in the constellation of Cephus, and it's a very interesting nebula. So if it's 5,500 light years away, then you say, well, how big is this? We can measure the angular size on the sky once we get what's called a plate scale, a scale of our what the telescope shows us for the sky, and then we can actually calculate the exact distance and size from the distance get the size of this thing, and that's really cool. That's a lot of fun. Tara, yeah, I'm very happy I'm going, I can tell you that. I'm very happy I'm going. She says we're very happy you're coming to Arizona. Well, thank you. I look very forward to getting out of this cold, I can tell you that. I cannot stand this cold. Take a few minutes.
I want to see Mark when he becomes another desert rat out there. He'll look like the guy's brother living in the trailer out in the desert on Kill Bill Volume 2.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so? I'm just kidding.
Hey,
I bet you learned to love air conditioning, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do what you have to do, right? But depending on where you are, you might not use it as much. In Phoenix, you use it a lot. But if you're up north, Flagstaff's 8,000 feet. You probably aren't going to use air conditioning as much. About halfway up, which is where I want to settle out. There's some hot days, but then there's some cool days. So it's a really good mix.
Well, I could imagine at 8,000 feet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful there.
JG wants to know when you're moving.
Hopefully in the next year or so. I have to get the observatory built. I have everything out there that I need, and I'm going to be getting the concrete pad, and I'm putting 2 piers on the telescope pad, because I want to be able to have 2 telescopes, one that's going to be SkyTour LiveStream West, and then one that's going to be a pier that people can use and rent, so that I can continue to bring this all to you. So that's kind of where I want to go with that, kind of a neat thing,
Cool.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun for sure.
Mm.
I just, you never get tired of good sky. You just don't. You never go outside and see gorgeous Milky Way and then just go, oh, this again. You don't. There was a paper that I read that talks about the sky as an ecosystem, and the ecosystem of the sky is one that is very, very sensitive to changes. And if you have lots of light pollution, then your sky is going to be lighter in the nighttime, and that wreaks havoc on your biorhythm. You need that dark sky. Stars signify nighttime, And when you're in a big city, you look up and you just see gray. Maybe a little reddish sodium vapor lamp and now bluish LED. You don't actually get to see stars. They change so much of our approach and so much of the way we think. You know?
Oh, God. I used to be able to see the Milky Way from my yard when I bought my house. And,
Yes.
well, I can't see the Milky Way anymore and haven't been able to for a long time because the city's grown up around me. I used to be out at the edge of town, and I no longer am. And it's a struggle. And what's really sad is most people really don't care. They don't relate to it. I talk about light pollution issues on Reddit sometimes, and most of these people, they just, they think I'm a kook. And you would think as young and environmentally conscious as these people supposedly are nowadays, they could, relate to it. But most people, they just can't relate to it. Either that or they're used to living in big cities. They never knew what they're missing.
That's actually more likely. They don't know what a good sky looks like, so if they don't see it, they never miss it.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment to say hello to David Byrne. Hello, David. And I didn't miss your comment about the telescope you got. It was a nice little Celestron Next Star that you got. That's actually a beautiful telescope. And I put it to you that you should do whatever you can to learn about that telescope and utilize it. I believe it's a go-to. Am I correct on that one? I have to look at the model that you got again. I'm going to go back here in the chat here. Daryl, you can do the same. Okay. He got a 114 LCM Celestron Next Star. And that's, I believe, a go-to.
If it's Next Star, I think it's go-to, yeah.
So that gives him the opportunity to tell the telescope to go drive itself to other things like my telescope does here. Now, you don't need a big fancy dome. Okay, we have a big fancy dome. Why? Because I live in the wintertime area, and I need protection for the telescope. It's heavy, it's big. I've got like 100 some odd pounds hanging over your head when you walk in the dome of telescope. If it falls on you, it's going to hurt. But that said, you don't need all that. But I needed to do that because for me to bring SkyTour LiveStream to you guys, I must be able to quickly turn on the telescope and have it be already aligned to the North Pole. So I mounted it on a permanent pier. The permanent pier set in just such a way so that the telescope lines up and just so that it's always lined up with the celestial pole properly. And that gives us the opportunity to cruise the night sky and be completely and utterly in alignment. So one more and then we go.
Mark, I'm going to ask you a favor when you're done with this object.
That's Daryl saying, I want to look at something in particular.
Yeah?
See? I love it. All right, well, this is the last photo, Daryl, so let's go, and here we go. Where would you like to go?
You might just look in Stellarium first and see if it's still up well for you. Look for DIPHDA, D-I-P-H-D-A, DIPHDA.
Oh, yeah.
Beta Ceti. I mentioned this to you the other day.
Okay.
But you're probably about 90 or 180 degrees out from where your dome is pointing right now.
Yeah.
DIPHDA.
That's it.
Huh.
There's DIPHDA.
Ta-da. Now that's Beta Ceti. That is also known as Deneb the tail of the whale. Its other name is DIPHDA. And what I'm curious about, of course, lies very close under Beta Ceti. It's called NGC 253.
Well, you could have just said that.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Well, I was wanting to see if you still got a good sky for it in your location in Stellarium.
It's 20,
I don't want to waste your time.
It's only 20 degrees. You want to see the Sculptor Galaxy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's down here. The Sculptor Galaxy is NGC 253. It's also called the Silver Coin. It's actually a very, very striking galaxy. Had you wanted to look at that, we should have looked at it earlier. But that's okay.
Maybe next time.
We'll see where we are. That's in the southwest. It's only 15 degrees above the horizon, so it's going to be kind of muddy. Right. And we're all the way over on this side now. Okay,
well,
right there.
Maybe next stream. Thank you for checking in Stellarium, though.
Of course. But
I know you're 2 hours ahead of me, so it's definitely on a downside for you.
Yeah, and okay. Here in Stellarium, you can see the bubble in terms of how Stellarium sees it. See all the extra stuff I've shown you? We can see some of that. And the bubble you can see right there, and the bubble's got some additional elements on the outside. It's so cool. So, I must say, it's just a really nice thing. Hey, I got to tell you guys, by the way, on Sunday night's SkyTour Radio, unfortunately, Amanda can't be there. It's not that we're not allowing her to be there. She has things to do. She won't be with us, but Daryl will be with us, and we'll probably have Carol Carl stepping in for Amanda. Carol agreed to do that. The topic is going to be the stars of Orion, at the very least. We're going to go cruising through Orion, but we're going to do it in a different way. We're going to be using KGRA DB, a YouTube channel, and we're going to be doing it in real time. It's not going to be with the telescope. It's going to be with a special planetarium system that we use here. And we're going to take this thing and we're going to go to Betelgeuse. We're going to go to Rigel and the other stars, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. We're going to talk about those stellar types. We're going to talk about how old they are, how big they are relative to the sun. And then we're going to go and show you, for instance, how it would look in our solar system if Betelgeuse was where the sun is. And you can literally see that it goes out almost, beyond Mars, almost to Jupiter. Things like that. And that's a very real understanding of Betelgeuse that we have. So it's a red supergiant. So we're going to be doing that on Sunday. So to say I might have my hands full is putting it mildly. I will definitely have my hands full.
Charles agreed to help with the questions from Discord and YouTube. He talked to Carol about it.
Oh, fantastic. That is so cool. That's very kind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Charles, if you're out there.
I really appreciate that, Charles. Right next to the bubble is this location. This is the Salt and Pepper Cluster. And we've seen this before. And we're going to the Salt and Pepper Cluster now. See the telescope's moving there. You see the little plus sign. And then in the stellar view, you can see the stars are aligning and lining up. So here, that means that we will have our cluster somewhere in this view. And let's go and make sure that we have it. Alright, and let's just do 10 seconds at 32,000. Actually, that's too high. Yeah, 25.6. We'll go there. So just a 10-second photo. Oh, look at Ronald. See, Amanda, it takes two people to keep up with you.
I saw that.
There it is, the Salt and Pepper Cluster. That's pretty. And
well, I don't know if Carol's going to be in Discord as well or not, right? So if Charles can keep his eye on that and bring it into YouTube, hopefully she'll be watching chat.
Yeah. Oh, wait, Tara, thank you. Tara said that she's reading my book and she's loving it. Oh, thank you very much, Tara. That's very kind. I'm glad you got it. For those of you that are interested, you can find the book that I wrote called The Populated Universe. It's a layman's study of the exoplanets and the search for extraterrestrial life. And it's on Amazon right now as an ebook. And the printed copies, I'm getting a printed copy tomorrow as a proof to see if I approve of what Amazon can do. And if I like it, then I'll let Amazon offer it. Otherwise, I'll go to a different publisher. But it has to be good. It can't be garbage. So we'll see. And so if you want to join us for SkyTour Radio on Sunday, it'll be 8 o'clock, as Amanda just put in, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, till 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And that entire time we're going to be live in the cosmos with... you're going to feel like you're watching Cosmos on TV, because you're going to see visuals that are just stunning and astonishing. And I've spent a lot of time learning how to navigate with this particular tool called Space Engine. And I used to run public tours of the night sky dynamically off the seat of my pants. Up at the studio with Doug Trumbull, where we have a multi-million-dollar planetarium system up there that the company allowed us to install to see if we can use it for one of our movies. And so I would navigate people that came to visit, studio execs and other people who show up. I would navigate us through Saturn's rings, take us to the stars, look back, find the Earth, navigate back to the Earth. And I could do it as a program where I could actually make it work programmatically, on its own, but it just didn't have the same appeal. So I would just do it dynamically, and that seemed to work much better. And people were much happier to see that. But this is the Salt and Pepper Cluster. Why is it called the Salt and Pepper Cluster? Daryl, do you know? Because I certainly do not.
Not offhand, no.
All right.
I see the salt cluster. I don't know about the pepper.
This guy?
Unless that dark modeling in there is supposed to be real, and that's supposed to be the pepper.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That could just be your eyes playing tricks on you.
It could.
Yeah. But it is really fine, isn't it? It's really quite elegant. It's a very elegant cluster. This music is good for that too. Because when we look at the Salt and Pepper Cluster, we're reminded of like the most elegant music too. The music of the cosmos, and that's something that I've never lost sight of. Is that beauty as seen through the eyes of a young child who actually is very interested in astronomy for the first time, because I was one of those. And I really loved looking up at night. Looking at up at night is just absolutely astonishing to me. I had Milky Way in Plainville, Connecticut when I was a kid, and the Milky Way, alas, went away as the town built up. And we went from just about 14,000 people to 35,000 people. And then I left. I came here, Terryville, Connecticut. The prerequisites for buying a house were I had to see the Milky Way when I went outside at night. Not was it big enough, not was the roof okay, could I see the Milky Way. That's all I cared about. Yes, that's not practical. But I believe so much in that ecosystem that is the sky that I had to make sure that was going to be available to me. And it was. And it still is.
You want to see something sad. I used to know a guy, he was a member of the local astronomy club. He and his wife went 30 miles or so out of town and found the perfect little ranch. They bought their little 35 acres of heaven right up on the south side of the Palmer Ridge, northeast of here.
Yep.
And there was not a single light visible from his property out in the sticks, okay?
Yep.
And you go out there now, and it has just become a sea of lights as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, that's why
sad.
That's why I'm going to Arizona, because it's a dark sky state, and they can't do that legally in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yep. And they take light complaints very seriously.
I wish they did here.
You could start that process.
I started that process here 25 years ago, Mark.
That's too bad.
And ultimately, it was like banging my head against the wall.
Mm.
I mean, I used to belong to the International Dark Sky Association. I had editorials in the paper back in the mid-90s. They did go with full cutoff sodium light fixtures around town, especially on the major roads.
Yeah.
Some people gave me credit for that. I don't think I really did anything. It was just, the modern fixtures are more efficient and cost less than the old fixtures too, actually. And but anyway, I mean, they paid lip service to it. The city and the county both have lighting codes in effect, but they don't enforce them. You have to call code enforcement for them to do anything, and after that, it's too late,
Well, it isn't. It isn't. I actually, I had changes that got put into place here because I simply would not stomach losing my night sky. I just wouldn't. What's all that? Is that you? Oh,
sorry.
No, that's okay.
Whoops, I forgot to mute. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I actually found myself, going head to head with people as well. By the way, that last little cluster we were looking at was called the Dormouse cluster. Cute little cluster. And now we're going to look at NGC 7261, which is another little open cluster. And it's in the constellation of Cepheus again. So let's go look at that. We'll do 10 seconds at 25,600. That seems to be working. To see the... Oh, yeah. Amanda, I was trying to figure out what you meant. You said, I like this community.
I know, I misspelled it. Sorry.
Oh, I guess I got myself just a little bit of dome. Tiny bit of dome in the way there. You can see it. Man, it makes a pretty picture, but this cluster, we're getting a little tiny bit of dome. So let me just go back and see where we are so I know what to avoid. Alright, so let's go back and grab this. Okay, and then I grab this. Oh yeah, look at that. There's the barrel of the telescope. And it's aiming too far over for some reason. That's definitely not where we want to be. Definitely not where we want to be. Alright, so let's see. Let's bring ourselves up. Let's go back to the double cluster and just set ourselves there for now. And then...
What happened with Starlink?
What do you mean what happened with Starlink?
I don't know. Katie says she heard Starlink caused a bit of a stir around here recently.
Oh,
they did.
Yeah.
They did. They did, and they are.
Yeah, that has to do with the launch. Quite a stir in the UFO community, too, because I was looking at... I was doing my cases, and when I was doing my cases, one of the things I noticed was I got a lot of the same thing. Captured a string of UFOs. I count 60 of them. Yeah, and it was 60 right in a row, and it really was spectacular looking, I gotta tell you. And it was actually a beautiful juxtaposition of the stars with the Starlink satellite launch. And you saw all these satellites being deployed, one after another. Ka-ting, 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 ka-ting.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, this sounds like a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Starlink, I've seen numbers, thousands of them, thousands upon thousands, if it's a success. Anywhere 12,000. I saw some ridiculous number the other day. This might have been including the Amazon has plans too, I guess. Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
Like 42,000 internet sats up there. Elon Musk is no dummy, and I'm sure the people who work for him are smart too.
Yeah.
But A, either they didn't think of this, which I don't believe, or B, they did think of it and they did it anyway, which I think is unconscionable. They could, in a worst case, wipe out all Earth-based astronomy, amateur and professional. And I think that's just unforgivable.
Well, until we develop a system to shoot down the satellites. You know, and most likely it'll be hackers that'll do it. And you'll see, all of a sudden, you'll see the... Oh, that's beautiful. You'll see the most amazing display of meteor showers ever. And that will be when the Starlink satellites are deorbited by a hacker. You know?
Yeah.
This, folks, of course, is the double cluster. And I know Daryl's not happy about the satellites, neither am I. We don't like the fact that these satellites are up there, because when we take photos like this one, we'll have to also put up with lines of satellites going through them. Every photo could have it. Now, last night when we streamed, we only had like three or so satellites over the course of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends where you look, too. If we're looking far to the north, the likelihood of seeing one is not as high. If we go to the equator, well, we can go look at the equator near Orion and take a long photograph, and we would probably undoubtedly capture one or more geosynchronous satellites. We're following the stars, but geosynchronous satellites are staying over the same spot on the Earth. So they'll make little trails. And we've done this, actually. We've hunted them and got them successfully. I said, hey, let's go get these Telink satellites, and we go there and bam, we see 4 of them in a row. Yep, that's that particular, they call them constellations. That's that particular constellation of satellites. Really cool. But this kind of view is pristine. And to have a view like this is just, it's beyond words, you know. So we would like to have a view without satellites. And there's a software that I saw tested, and what it does is it takes the satellite trails and automatically removes them from the star images dynamically. So you'll never see the satellite even when you're taking the pictures live. The trails for the satellite are taken out before the data is passed through to you to see. Now, in terms of data and getting data for astronomical research, that's not good. We can't do that. We actually have to have raw data without having it monkeyed with. But if you're just taking pictures like we are for pleasure, we could have had 10 satellites going through here, and they could all have been removed. So you just see this. Now, isn't this beautiful? You know? It's beautiful. But who knows?
We shall see.
Yeah. We shall see. Alright, so now back in our little our view here. Where do we go? Come on. Come back. Okay, something is... now we went this way. I want to look down here, but this is really the wrong way. We don't want to... We just saw the double cluster, and that was... Actually, is that the right one or the wrong one? There's several double clusters. Yeah, see, I mean...
that sure looked like a double cluster.
Oh, no, that was a double cluster. But... I might have to move the... dome here. This is looking toward the northeast, which I do want to see. And I don't think the dome is actually facing northeast. I think it's actually, yeah, see, it's facing kind of northwest. Northwest. But you know what I'll do? I'm going to go to the fossil footprint anyway and see if I can actually see it. And if not, I'll go move the dome. I will go out for all of you and risk my life. Just kidding. It's a little warmer today. It's only about it's about 28 right now. So maybe we can see some stars and not have the dome in the way. And if anybody has any ideas for something that I'd like to see, let me know. That goes for you, Amanda, and you, Daryl, if you've got other things you'd like to see.
Can we see the Cristobal Nebula? Or whatever it is? It's a nebula, yeah, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Can we see that? Is that anywhere around?
I think so. Let me just look for it. I want to make sure.
I'm curious to see what it looks like, even if it's not the thing I was thinking of from last night.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that name is standing in my mind. And it wasn't anything like...
Yeah, it's available. We just have to...
that we go to.
We just have to move the telescope a little bit. See, because we looked at the Northern Trifid. Okay, we've kind of done this little circuit up here. And then we had the fossil footprint, which is where we are now. Let's actually take a look and see if we can see the fossil footprint nebula, shall we?
Okay.
Alrighty. Captain, we're on our way. Thank you, Mr. Scott. By the way, JJ Marley and Katie Q, hi there. I didn't say hello to you, I apologize. I make it a habit to say hello to everyone who comes out here. I figure if you take the time to say hello to me, I'm going to say hello to you. Hey, look at that. There it is. Dead center. There is the fossil footprint nebula. Now, that's pretty cool.
When is the Taurids, Daryl?
Taurids already happened.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was
the
that
next
April?
one coming up?
Was that in April?
JJ's asking about one that we're supposed to be in the path of in the next few weeks. I know there's one in January. I forget which one.
That's the Quadrantids.
Yeah, those are the early
Geminids
ones.
are the big one that just happened. The Taurids actually happened weeks ago. October, November. I think it was November.
Wow.
But with the telescope Mark is using, this is more for deep space objects.
Yeah, if we want to look at meteors, what we do is we set up our camera on a tripod with a regular lens to look at them. But we also have another stream, Bill New York Skywatcher, who does the meteors.
Just about to get the link, yeah.
Oh, good for you. That's good. And then if we're looking at things like I'm just going to take a few photos of this, guys. This is called the Fossil Footprint Nebula. And you can see it right here. It looks really interesting.
Excuse me a moment, please.
Alrighty. And while we're waiting, once we get the next one, maybe I'll take that one. Let's see. I want to get a nice version of this and then take it in. Here it comes. Ooh, look at that. We're getting some color. Check it out. Okay, good. So that means that we're going to get some more. So we go into the editor.
Oh, I forgot. I was looking at YouTube, not live.
Oh, okay.
I see.
So here we are in the editor, and you can see the fossil footprint nebula showing up some colors that are interesting. And if we take out the blue of the sky background and make it more realistic, that shows up better. And we can increase the contrast a little bit. And let's see. We can set the dynamic range so it'll be a little brighter and you can see the detail better. There we go. So we're going to take a number of photos of this just to try and actually see the data and see what this looks like. I like doing these things, you know. So here we go, fossil footprint nebula again, and then I'll stack these. And but it's pretty cool.
P&K have a group chat on Facebook?
A group chat?
Yeah. I know they have a group. We have a group, but...
Yeah. I'm not familiar with the group chat.
I don't know.
I've never
I don't
seen
want to
it.
give any wrong information. I don't think so. I mean...
Oh.
You can comment in the group on different posts and stuff, and...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. This is kind of the group chat for the... What we're talking right now. It's kind of the group chat for the channel.
Yeah. Well, there's a SkyTour LiveStream on Facebook that we set up. And that's where all these photos end up once I stack them.
Look at that.
So that looks really pretty out there. You can go check that out if you like. We have beautiful photos that we've taken in the observatory here. You're more than welcome to contribute comments and so forth. I get lots and lots of comments. Hundreds and hundreds.
Hundreds and hundreds of what?
Comments.
Comments?
Yeah, comments. I get hundreds and hundreds of comments on the astrophotography I've done.
Nice.
Well, once I take a series, I actually put it out there in probably 50 to 80 groups all in one shot.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I get lots of comments.
Back.
Welcome
I can
back.
tell.
Thank
All
you.
right. Now let's go and... All right, so that was the fossil footprint. And now we were going over... we were heading over to this other side here. We went past the Northern Trifid to the crystal ball for Amanda. But I think that we are going to have to move the dome. And that's okay.
Well, we'll
I'm
look at
happy
it
to.
later then.
No, now's the time. All right, so we're gonna say okay, go, and then we're gonna check out where the telescope's gonna go.
David wants to see the witch head.
In Orion.
Yeah.
Yeah, the witch head. We might actually be okay for the crystal ball. Look at that.
I hope so.
If you notice, okay, we zoom in here, you can see the barrel of the telescope doesn't seem to be impinging on the shutter, this slot, so we should be okay. The witch head is just west of Rigel. So
Probably maybe too big for the field of view of your telescope, Mark.
it is actually. We tried it the other night. It basically was overflowing it. But it's not big enough, too big for the 5-inch refractor that I put on. And the 5-inch refractor is going to remain an East Coast thing. I'm going to get another one for the West Coast. So that means a second camera, a second computer setup, a second processing system, like I have here. But the thing is, there's no doubt that if you want to say, look, here's the wide-angle view and here's the main telescope view, take the pictures at once. You can see both of them at the same time. That's the cool thing. That's really cool. You know? Okay, here we are. It seems to have worked. So, crystal ball, I don't need this high. Let's just go down here to like under sub 10. 8,000 for 15 seconds maybe? No, 10 seconds. Just to find it. Just a discovery shot. We should see the crystal ball here.
JJ wants to know if you're making any more appearances on the next season of What on Earth.
They haven't called me yet, but if they're doing another season, they will definitely give me a call. As far as I know. There it is. See that? See that weird ring? That's cool. At least I think they'll give me a call. I mean, they think they like my work. They like me as a voice of reason, and I'm very pleased that they do. All right, let's go 16,000 15 seconds for the crystal ball. JJ, have you seen me on What on Earth? I think I've probably done every season, most episodes that I've been in. I've done like for each season I do roughly 10 to 13 of the episodes, and they do it all in one shot with me. They come out here from London, and I'm in Connecticut. They fly over here, and we go through it, and it's just a marathon session. You know, that's okay. I tell them, hey, I don't mind as long as you understand that, you know, I'm not gonna shut you down. You guys, you have me all night. You know, if you want. Okay, so let me just give myself a little corrective action here. There's a strange effect that occurs, by the way, folks, when you always see me using the telescope and moving it around a little between shots. I didn't do that tonight in particular. I'm just trying to do quick stacking, and then I'll do the more appropriate ones later. But when you actually look like this here, this is the Crystal Ball Nebula, you can actually see this beautiful planetary nebula. But if you stack, here's the thing I want you to notice. Right around it, you see all this noise? This noise that you see is going to be the same relative noise if I take 10 pictures of this thing right here like this. So that means that when I stack, the noise is going to end up creating these weird artifacts that will look like scratches because they tend to line up. And so in order to stop that, you have to move the exposure like here, 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 here. Do a little box motion in between shots. It's time consuming and cumbersome, but when you do that, it randomizes the noise more when you go to remove the noise. And it's more effective. I learned that the hard way. Isn't this beautiful though, Amanda? This is the crystal ball. I don't know if that was the one you were thinking of.
It's not the one I was thinking, but it is very pretty.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, it is. Let me just do one thing. Let me just do a madhouse shot at 51,200 for 15 seconds on this planetary nebula. I've gone up many stops.
Mark, do you still have to shoot dark frames? I haven't heard you mention that in a long time.
I actually stopped shooting dark frames because I can effectively remove the noise. And so I need to, but I can't do it. I have no methodology for doing that now. However, I will tell you this. In the camera view, I don't know if you can see this, Daryl. I have a servo right here, a servo motor, stepper, and I've got a circuit that I'm writing. And what this is going to do is it's going to close the telescope aperture remotely, so I can actually close the end of the telescope lid. Okay, and then I can shoot dark frames manually, because if I can't do it remotely, I don't do it. And that's what this is all about. So that's why I have to do that. Look at this. Now you can see some interesting little structures. You see these neat little structures there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's make sure those aren't artifacts, because they look like little spikes. You see them? It might be some kind of... You see that? Let me show it to you. Let me go in here. Let me see if I can get in here. See this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see those?
I see those off to the side, yeah, but I mean, inside that cloud, that's actual detail, it looks like.
Oh, that's definitely a detail, yeah. Looks pretty in there, isn't it? That's just stunning.
Kind of wispy looking and concentrated areas, sort of modeled.
Yep. And if we were to go into the editing tool here and take a look at that, let's see what we can do. First thing we want to do is, as we do before, we want to set the what's called the color temperature of the image. We want to set it to a more realistic color to actually remove the blue background from the filter. And you can see how it shows up here. We also have some color banding here. And although I can't remove color noise at the moment, I can do that a million different ways in Photoshop. But this is really pretty, and if I were to just drag down the contrast a little, okay, isn't that something? Oh yeah, that's definitely capturing a lot of detail in this. Definitely capturing some detail. It looks really pretty. Yeah. So you can see it's got a modeled appearance to it, and you watch my little noise algorithm as it goes through. With every change I make, okay, like if I do this, okay, the color algorithm, see the noise comes and goes right away. So the noise is being removed. Ah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty, isn't it?
It is. It looks like you've got a dark bar at about 6 o'clock, and then a light patch at about 7,
Yep.
and then another little dark patch up around 10 o'clock.
That's correct, right there, yep.
And maybe
Right
one
here.
at a dark patch at about 2 o'clock also.
Right by the stars, see it?
Yeah.
Yep. That's really pretty. And if we zoom in, it's even a little more obvious. It's about between 5 and 6 o'clock. It's like a pie shape, almost. And then there's another one of these, the one there. Yeah, that would make a really interesting nebula, stacking nebula topic. I would like to do that. Maybe we'll do that again another time. But that's a really pretty one too. Yes, sirree.
Kind of reminds me of the Eskimo Nebula too.
Yes.
That'll be up later, won't it? The Gemini, isn't it?
Yep, we saw it already. But I'll look at it again. All right, so let's see now. Here's where we are with the crystal ball, and let's go up here. This is IC351. I don't know if we can see this one. It's magnitude 12 planetary. But we have the Embryo Nebula. We have the little Scorpion cluster. Now this stuff would require me to move the telescope. There's the Perseus lenticular galaxy. There's a whole bunch of really cool things out there. So if we zoom out now, okay, you can see we spin around. Okay, there's Polaris. So we can come around now. And here's Castor and Pollux. And here is the M35. And isn't that... Let me just do boundaries here. The boundaries of Gemini. Somewhere in the boundary area here of Gemini, isn't there a planetary nebula, Daryl?
I don't recall.
Okay, apparently I'm wrong. Or is this it right here? That's the Eskimo, yep. Oh, did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought my telescope was moving. It was a plane that went through the field. That's cool. What are the chances, right? Well, how about this? How about if I decide let's go look on this side of the sky now, huh? Because that's just coming up, so we'll check that out. All right, we'll look at the Eskimo. You want to do that?
Yes.
If you like, sure.
All right, so I'll have to go move the telescope. So, guys, I'm gonna go do. I'm not the telescope. Go move the dome.
It's all my fault.
No, but I'll be right back. All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Folks, I don't mean to sound like a total curmudgeon or the Grinch that stole Christmas, complaining about light pollution and all that. I had to sneak out a little while ago when I excused myself. I went out and looked at my Christmas lights, which I just finally put up today, and they look really cool. I'm not a Grinch. I love Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And they do look nice. And yeah, Amanda, that big evergreen sure is screaming for some lights for it too.
I bet.
I will try to get some pictures to you. Oh, goodness.
Why don't you tell them what day it is tomorrow? Or remind them, I'm sure. Some are
Oh, well. Oh, you mean the first day of winter?
Yes.
Yes.
Winter
Yeah,
solstice.
folks. Tomorrow is the winter solstice. If you've heard me talk about the analemma before, that big skinny figure 8 you see straddling the equator on maps of the Earth or on globes, you'll see it out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Looks like a big skinny figure 8, sort of shaped like a bowling pin, you know. Tomorrow, at the winter solstice, the sun will be at the exact bottom of that figure 8 shape. It'll be as far south in the sky as it can go. It'll be touching on the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern sky. And that's the winter solstice, when the sun is as far south as it can go.
Which on a positive
Interesting.
note means it's going to start getting more and more light from
Oh, yeah, you betcha.
tomorrow on.
Interestingly, the earliest sunset happened back around December the 8th, and the latest sunrise will happen in early January. And that's kind of a weird thing where the sun is rounding the corner at the bottom of that figure 8 shape. It's offset a little bit to the west, and then here in a couple of weeks it'll be offset to the east of that very bottom. And that's when the latest sunset and the earliest sunrise actually happen, a little bit to either side of the solstice. But yeah, evenings, the sun is already setting a little bit later every day. And after it rounds the corner on the morning side, you'll start getting earlier sunrises every day too, as the sun starts climbing back up the side of the figure 8, heading back toward the equator. At which time, when it crosses the celestial equator, it'll be spring. And there'll be more light than dark.
That's correct. We want that.
Wait.
We want that. Yeah, so this is the wonderful Eskimo, but it's actually way too overexposed, so I'm going to take us back and get rid of some of the, bring it down. It really shows some wonderful detail when you do it right. I want to say hi to W and Gas Mask. I see you guys are out there. That's nice. And KDQ, I think I said hi to you, but I'll say again, hi. Okay, so let's do 6400 for 15 seconds on the Eskimo right here. There's a lot of cool features in the Eskimo. Hopefully we can see them. Yeah, we're getting there.
I like
now.
it.
Yeah, we're getting there now. Gotta do a little bit lower and still, yeah. Okay. And a little bit of walking on the telescope, but we're gonna get rid of that. Excuse me. I almost sneezed my headphones off. I'm good at that. Okay.
See, everyone missed you last night, Daryl.
Yeah, they did.
Gosh.
Gorsh. Oh, right? Like Pluto or Goofy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. I've been under the weather ever since I got a flu shot a couple of weeks ago. This is the first flu shot I've had in years, and it seems like the only time I ever get sick is when I get a flu shot.
Yeah, I never take flu shots for that reason. Okay,
Well,
so
that's what I get for listening to the news.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the flu this year, it's going to be extra awful terrible, and get your flu shots.
Extra awful terrible. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, hey,
So
you pulled out some nice detail there.
oh yeah, not done yet. I got more to go. I can actually pull out even more. Let's do that. So, first things first, we're going to take this ISO down to, say, 3200, and now do 10 seconds at 3200, okay? And now, let's see what we get. Mary Grace Kirby, hello. Welcome. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Let the, now that's really pretty.
Yeah, it is. And there's that telltale blue color again.
Yeah, that Amanda likes so much.
Yes, this one's beautiful.
It's good music for this one, too, see? Yeah.
If you see real long exposures of this at greater magnification, you'll see why they call it the Eskimo Nebula.
Yeah.
It'll look like a face in the middle there, and then the dimmer ring around the outside is like the fur framing his face on the hood of his parka.
Yeah. I think I gotta take a shorter exposure, not longer. Don't you think?
Could be.
I'm gonna go down to just 1600 for 10 seconds. So I'm dropping 3 stops. So it's gonna be dimmer. Hey, Rockstar.
Hey, Rock.
Hi, Rock.
And now let's see.
I tried writing them all in chat, so
we got a little bit of motion there. My mistakey. Me no awakey. Okay. Let's do this again. Alright, and we'll try that again. Tomorrow I've got to go up to the studio to work on the movie about Nikola Tesla. Doug has got he's got something he wants to talk to me about up there. So there, look, see, now we can start to see the Eskimo face a little, Daryl.
Yeah.
what's that beside it?
That's a star.
What do you know? What star is it? A significant star?
Let's find out. Let's come in here. Let's pop in.
It just looks pretty big and bright for a field star, you know?
Yeah, it is a pretty bright field star, though. Okay, so let's center this guy up. It's the star HP 36370. HIP, Hipparchus Catalog Star. That's what that star is right there. That's what the HIP means. It's Hipparchus. 36370. Alright. Now we know. Ta-da. Yeah, that's beautiful. Now you can actually see it. And then one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to try and tease a little more data out of this by literally coming down to 800 ISO and going up to 15 seconds. So we drop 2 stops but go up by 5 seconds. And let's make sure we can do that. So we're gonna go jump east and then jump west. Jump east again, actually. And then jump west. Okay. And now we're locked in. We can take the picture. Is Fantasy here too?
Yes, he is.
Hey, Fantasy. Look at that.
What? I'm really lagging in chat.
Wow. You can see an inner ring That's in an outer ring and then an outer ring beyond that. You can see the structure of the Eskimo's face here. And we're getting pretty good. This is actually, we're finding the right values. And what I'm going to do is go, I'm going to go up just one more level here. Go up in the ISO slightly. And then I'm going to try and take a 15-second shot again. Hey, Tammy. Nice to see you. Oops, that's no good. Okay, 15 seconds again at 1000 ISO. Yeah, it didn't work. I'm not sure why it's doing what it's doing. That's alright. We'll make it work.
Thank you, David. That's nice. Did you see what he wrote?
I did. Thank you very much, David Byrne. That's very kind of you.
Yes, please do come back.
And JJ, you're right. Tesla was an amazing man. He had actually quite an amazing number of discoveries. One of the ones that I find most intriguing is the one where he was trying to utilize the current in the ground and make that part of our natural energy generation. And the reason that that's not a bad idea, actually, is because of the fact that we actually have current running through the ground all the time, courtesy of the very thing that makes our magnetic field, which is generated by the outer core of the Earth and the inner core of the Earth. The outer core is molten iron, liquid metal, and the inner core is solid iron and nickel. And when you have this outer metal, liquid metal, churning against this solid core, you end up getting this. Sorry, I'm just going to find my thing here. You end up getting a electrical current, and that electrical current is something that Tesla felt we can tap into. And I don't think that he's wrong about that. Look at this, Daryl.
Yes.
That's really pretty.
It's very pretty.
We have a little bit of noise in here, but it's not really that bad. It's really not that bad.
You see that lightest spot in the middle.
Yes.
The Eskimo kind of looks like he's got a clown nose.
Yep.
In long exposures.
Yep.
You can sort of make out the shadows where his eyes are now.
Yep. And you can see a separate, darker area here, the lighter one, and we've lost the outer one because we're going down to capture the detail in the interior.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay. That's okay. Excellent. That's very good. That's a very, very nice rendering of the Eskimo that we managed. And let's now go back to our split screen and check it out. Well, we can probably look at the twinkling comet cluster. You want to look at that? While we're
Sure.
here? Why not?
Why not?
Let's go look at it. So we're going to steer the telescope toward it. You'll notice it disappeared here, but you'll see stars pulling in as we slow down and come to a halt in our tour of the night sky. All right. And if you don't see any stars, it's because of the fact that they're either out of the shot, like this one was behind, or they are too dim. Okay, now let us... Okay, that's good. Now let's pull this over. Alright, and let's do 15 seconds at 1,000 again. And see what we get. Yeah, Frosty the Snowman face. That's correct, Mary Grace. Yeah, our own Carol Carl has some interesting insights, and we might... she has some insights into what we can do about getting a hold of Tesla's papers. The cluster's right here, but we haven't been able to see it because we have to go and actually increase our ISO a little bit. I average about 8,000, so we'll do 10,000 for 15 seconds and then capture it this way. I want to thank everybody who's joining us here tonight, and if you haven't subscribed to SkyTour LiveStream, please do. We're free. We love to hang out with people. We enjoy doing this. I have the most amazing people that want to be doing this with me. That is, of course, Amanda and Daryl. Amanda Curran and Daryl Mason. And they're also both co-hosts on SkyTour Radio, Sunday nights on kgraradio.com. We reach over 3 million people a month, guys. And our show is very successful. We're third or fourth in our time slot every single weekend. And people just have a hunger for science. They really want to know about science. Mm-hmm. And this Sunday on kgraradio.com, we're actually going to do a very interesting thing. We're going to create a visual performance to go along with the radio performance. So as we're talking about the stars of Orion, supergiant stars that are going to go supernova and blow up in just a few million years, or maybe it already has in some cases, we're going to actually go to these stars and circle them and visit them, and it'll be a visual that is real time. And as we travel the cosmos, you're going to come along with us. And that's on KGRA DB YouTube channel. So KGRA Delta Bravo DB. And that channel you want to subscribe to. And it will be like watching TV and hearing a radio show all live at the same time. We recommend that you listen to one or the other. Don't put on KGRA and then go to the DB and just watch, because there's a slight delay between what happens on KGRA DB on YouTube and what comes across on KGRA, the radio station. The radio station is going to be streamed through the YouTube channel. So you'll get the benefit of the radio and the visuals to go with it. So be there or be square, as they used to say. There's a beautiful little cluster. I don't think any of you are square. I kind of don't remember where that terminology came from. Maybe square peg in a round hole. Hey, you're a square, man. Whatever. Fine. I've always been one of those. That's kind of what I grew up being, a square, if you call it that.
Maybe it means rigid?
Yeah, you know.
Squares were usually sticklers for the rules, rather than outlaws.
Yeah, I guess I was one of those too.
Remember on Star Trek, they called them Herbert.
Are you one, Herbert?
And what did Spock say? Spock said, I am not Herbert.
I am not Herbert. And then when Kirk says, Herbert, Spock, who's Herbert? Who's Herbert? Herbert was a minor official, and he was trying to explain it away, so that Kirk wouldn't be insulted because he was being called Herbert.
Square in anybody's book.
Yeah. Do you reach, Herbert? I reach. Wow, Spock reaches. Mr. Spock reaches. Really funny stuff. at the time of what we used to call the Beatnik Revolution. You know, which I could never understand. You know, I was like, you know, my sister was never one of those. I wasn't. I wasn't old enough for that generation. It was before me. But it was funny.
My oldest brother was a beatnik back in the day.
Wow.
Then they turned into hippies, and he turned into a hippie too.
Wow.
He even went down in the desert and lived with the, I forget who it was, one of the southwestern Native American tribes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was legit, man, let me tell you.
Wow.
But I remember him, I was just a little kid, boy, he'd come back home and he was all beatnik as could be. This is way back, late 50s, early 60s.
Headband dangling behind his head, long hair.
During the hippie days, yes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you know, to each his own. When I was in college, I had long hair. I actually had a top knot in college.
A man bun?
A top knot.
A man bun.
Oh no! Is that what that means?
I guess.
No.
Yeah, I had it bundled up on top of my head, you know, and it was actually kind of cool. I don't miss it, no. All right, now we're gonna go to this cluster, which is a very famous cluster. And this one, and it's got right next to it, it's gonna have NGC 2158, and you'll see that. Okay, you'll see this is up this way. The square was gonna be this level for us, so you'll see the cluster. I'll put it here, and then you'll see the little cluster right down there to the right of it. So let's just go there. All right, here we go. You'll watch stars move as the telescope is aligning. Here it comes, and here comes some stars now. Wait for me. Oh, don't worry, we'll find you. Okay, so this should be Messier 35 in Gemini. It's also called the shoe buckle cluster.
I was thinking that earlier when you guys were talking about, are there any nebulas in Gemini? I was thinking I don't think it's a nebula, but...
Yeah, the open cluster, you're right.
Yeah.
You've got it, Lass. The open cluster. Alright, and I'll do 15 seconds at 1,000 for that. And you'll see M35 here, and you'll see this other little cluster down here.
Are we in Gemini a lot just because it's the time of the season?
Yep, that's right. And you'd know about Gemini, wouldn't you?
Oh, a little thing or two.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we are. There is Messier 35, as promised, and there is 2158. You'll notice that it looks like it's not as blue as this one. Now, there could be two reasons. One, it could be an older cluster that managed to stay together, and the stars could have evolved a little bit. Or it could be more distant, and we're seeing it through dust in our galaxy, and thus it looks a little more red. Why is that? It's for the same reason that the sunsets are red. As the white starlight, the bluish white starlight from the young cluster goes through dust in space, the blue light is scattered very, very efficiently out of the whole prism of light: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Well, that blue, indigo, and violet color is very high energy, and it's very easy for that light to get scattered off and spent in other directions. And thus, the light getting to us is going to be a little bit more red than the cluster's original color. So this could be a little reddish color due to what's called interstellar reddening. I actually don't know that for sure with this cluster, but it's what it could be. So when we look at this cluster, we actually see that it really does look more yellow and red than this. Very definitively. And so the likelihood is because of interstellar reddening. Maybe there's a dark gas or a dark dust cloud between us and there, and the stars will show through it, but maybe they're reddened a little. I just think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we said, the other day, last week, sometime we were looking at this, that, if you were to call M35 an average star cluster sized, and if the NGC object there at the lower right was an average star cluster, well, it would, it's obviously several times farther away to look so much smaller.
Yeah, and I mentioned also, I think yesterday it was, that we would, to figure out the distances to these clusters, we take a cluster we know, and we plot it on what's called the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. It's a diagram of intrinsic brightness against the color, basically. That's the OBAF GKM that Amanda knows, of course. And if we plot that for a cluster we know, and then we plot another cluster we don't know based on just its apparent brightness, then we can actually figure out how far that cluster is. That's called the cluster fitting method for figuring out distances. And we use that for, situations like this, where we have a cluster that seems to be smaller and possibly farther away. Is it, or is it just a dwarf cluster much closer to us and with redder stars? Well, you can't make assumptions until you actually look into things. And as far as the planetarium goes, when we look at the shoe buckle cluster, or what we call the shoe buckle cluster, I'm trying to get in, and let me just get NGC 2158 here. We notice that we don't actually have a distance to this cluster. All right, and that's because it may not have been accurate at the time it was done. And as far as a shoe buckle cluster, that's the problem with large objects. I gotta try and.
Who, shoe casters?
Yes. Oh, I had it. Yeah, shoe buckle cluster. See, its distance is 2,772 light years. So that's actually not that far away for a cluster. And of course, it looks like it's a pretty big, bright cluster. Okay. But this one down here, 2158, we don't know the distance, or we don't have it. It's possible that there is a distance to it, and we just don't know it. And perhaps...
What's the number again? NGC 2158?
Yes, I'm actually looking it up as well, just to see if I can figure out if my theory is right here, if my theory is not right. It's about 2 billion years old, so it's a pretty old cluster. Yeah, okay, see, I was right. It's about 9,000 light years further away than M35. And that means you and I are both right, Daryl, on that. Yep. Yeah, I thought so. I mean, based on what I'm seeing, that's really the only answer it could have, is that it has to be much further away. And when we look at it, you can see that it's suffering some reddening, interstellar reddening.
So M35, you said, was about 2,200 light years away?
That's correct. And this is about 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty distant.
So maybe 5-6 times farther away.
Yeah.
Roughly speaking.
Yep. Pretty good, huh?
Fascinating.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So that was something that I thought you guys would be interested in, and we can. Now let's take a look at. We got another one right here. This is NGC 2129. Have you seen that one before, Daryl?
Don't remember, unless it was with you.
Oh, then it was probably here with SkyTour LiveStream. All right, so here we are. Let's check it out.
I'm the visual astronomer, folks. Mark takes pictures. I just look through telescopes. And, because it's purely visual for me, I tend to look at brighter objects. Messier objects, of course, and, some of the brighter NGC objects. More showcase kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, David Byrne, thank you very much for coming along. I'm glad you had a good time tonight.
Good night, David.
And there's more where this is coming from, bud, so we'll see you soon. Here's a beautiful shot, because you can see this cluster, and you'll notice also in this cluster you've got this little orange star. Isn't that pretty? Look at that guy just sitting right there. And what is that? Well, when we see that, it tells us a few things. Number one, maybe it's possible that this particular star is not in this cluster. It could be behind it in the distance, or it could be closer to us. Most likely closer to us. Because it's probably a red dwarf star, and those tend to be very low luminosity or intrinsic brightness. But yeah, see, the little things you miss. A beautiful red star like that sitting amid these blue powerhouses. Just really pretty. Just, you gotta love it, Absolutely.
Very pretty.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? You wouldn't see it unless you actually took yourself down to see it, down to it. And now, let's go down to this guy right here. This is the Monkey Head Nebula. I don't know if people were familiar with it or remember the Monkey Head, but we have actually seen this before. We have looked at it before, and we actually did a long series of it before. But right now, let's just check it out. Okay, I believe, let's see if the dome is okay here. Hard to tell. Oh no, it's not hard to tell. Okay, we're fine. I believe we're okay. All right, so now we're going to look at the Monkey Head. Monkey Head is a really strange nebula. Believe me. Let me just move us over here. And a little bit up. And over. Okay. 15 seconds at 10,000. Let's go to 12.5. 12.8, I mean. Okay. Here we go. 15 seconds. You're welcome, Dave Byrne. And for those of you that have seen The Mandalorian, that so-called Baby Yoda is interesting because
it's so cute.
He is really cute. And the fact of the matter is, the Baby Yoda, that's like several decades after Yoda technically died. So it's not Yoda.
I thought that was Yoda as a baby.
No.
I thought that was the Yoda as a baby.
No, I think this is actually decades after Yoda passed on. I believe. So it's another creature.
Sort of like
what are they called?
They're called Groot.
I am Groot. Oh, really? I am Groot. Oh, really? I understand. Yeah, I am Groot. Oh, I know. Hey, look at that.
Well,
there's the monkey head.
Kind of a family resemblance there when you think about it.
Uh-oh. JJ, he's a clone. Look at this. Here's the monkey head. Now, Amanda's going to say, where's the monkey head? There's an eye. There's an eye. Here's the hair around. Here's the nose and the big bulbous nose. And the mouth down here. See, this is the monkey head. Okay.
It's like a bit of a stretch, but okay.
Oh, come on. Everything in astronomy is a stretch. How do you see twins standing next to each other when you see just two sets of stars looking at each other? Oh, but people do. All right, let's.
I can understand that representing the heads of the Gemini twins, but
Okay.
well, when you point it out and I use my imagination,
Yes.
I can kind of see it. But
Sort of.
you know, if we left and came back an hour later, you'd have to point it out again. I don't think I'd see it on my own.
I bet you that's true.
Well, you see it enough times and you start recognizing it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's true. There's a few things I recognize, but they're more like the obvious ones. Like the dumbbell.
I'm still learning star names all the time, and I finally learned the name of the brightest star in the feed of Gemini just recently. It's called Alhena. Alhena. If you look from Gemini down to Orion, the brightest star you'll see between like Betelgeuse and Castor and Pollux,
Yes.
about halfway down, that's one of the feet of the twins, and Alhena's its name.
Wow. Well, I have a book called Star Names, Their Lore and Meaning. And it's really kind of a cool book, you know. It's just if you just read it as a book, it's a rather boring compendium. You have to look it up as you want to say, well, where did that name come from? And then you get all the derivations of that name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
You should bring that book on your next stream.
Actually, that's a good idea. But, okay.
See, I would read them all.
You would?
That's how you find really cool ones.
That's
and you're
very
like,
true.
ooh, that's a really cool story. I want to check that out.
Well, if you'd like, I'll go look for the book. It's right here on my bookshelf somewhere. But before I do that, I may have to move the dome again because I want to check out some of our other friendly neighborhood Spider-Men that are living in this region.
Is it alphabetical?
Yes, actually.
You could try to find a star that's as close to your name as possible.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we do that?
Why not?
I think that would
Well,
be...
I don't know if you want to start that tonight or not.
Yeah.
You have an appointment tomorrow.
Yeah, I can do it.
A few.
Yeah.
It's just I could see really getting into that and wanting to do that for hours. So.
Oh yeah, it's quite enjoyable to read about the origin of these star names. You know, because it's pretty cool actually. I don't know how else to say it. Okay, let's add myself in some stuff here, and now we're going to be wandering down toward Orion, and I would like to. I'm going to guess that we're going to need to move the dome because we won't be able to get down here. Well, maybe, let's see. Yeah, we're not going to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, hang on. I want to try and see something here. Yes, right, Hubble's Variable Nebula.
Hubble's Variable Nebula?
Yeah, I want to find out how far away it is from where we are. Okay, so we're not that far. I'm not sure we can see it, but I'm gonna try and go there. We want to look at the Hubble's Variable Nebula all the time because we want to make sure that we can want to catch it when it's in change, and when you catch it in change, it's really spectacular.
I know what I want to see.
Oh, you do?
You just reminded me of it, yeah.
Okay.
When you said, gotta catch them, I was thinking, gotta catch them all, Pokemon, right?
Uh-huh.
I want to see my Velpecula.
Oh, and that's setting already. That's in Cygnus.
That's a summer object.
That's
Amanda.
far away, Amanda.
Okay.
But hey, how about this, Amanda? We settle for Hubble's Variable Nebula.
Not very Pokemon-like, but sure.
Okay. 15 seconds at 12,800. Hubble's Variable Nebula. just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Tara, if you're still out there, thank you. I got your email.
Okay, since you bring it up being winter again, what about the Flame Nebula? I know that's up. We saw it last night.
Yes, we did. Okay, there's Hubble's Variable Nebula, but I'm going to acquire a better picture of it.
Before the winter solstice.
Yes, which is my son Gabriel's birthday. Gabriel Galileo de Antonio, born on December 21st. That's his real name.
And Hunter...
Orion.
I was going to say Orion. I thought it was.
Yeah. Hey, astronomers' kids, what do you expect? I'm glad I could pass on my astronomy through my kids. Look at this. This is Hubble's Variable Nebula. Wow. Let's focus on this for a sec. Interesting. It's looking very. The colors and the texture inside the nebula is different yet again to what we've seen before.
Yep.
Hubble's Variable Nebula is just that. This star that you see down at the bottom, believe it or not, has nothing to do with this nebula. It's just a field star. There's a star buried in this. This is a dark cloud here that you can sort of start to see. This dark cloud has other stars in it, or a star, and that star has circling it dark dust. And depending on how that dust is circling the star, it'll toss a shadow out to this lit area that's lit up by the star from inside this cocoon of dark material. And because that black material inside, that dark dust, is blocking some of the starlight at times, you'll get a varied look. And sometimes the nebula is brighter, sometimes dimmer, so thus it's Hubble's Variable Nebula, named for Edwin Hubble, for whom who discovered it. It's a fascinating little object. I viewed this in an Alvin Clark 20-inch refractor, and it was just absolutely stunning. It looked like this to your eye, looking through the eyepiece of that telescope. You know, it was just so great, and of course, it was absolutely crystal clear, beyond crystal clear. So amazing stuff, really, really amazing stuff. And one of the things you don't realize is when you look at a photograph of the stars, the brighter ones have bigger blobs, and the smaller ones have fainter blobs. Okay, but when you're looking with your eye, every one of the stars are the same blob, the same size blob. Some are brighter, some are dimmer, but they're the same size blob. It's only on imagery like this that we see the blobs looking apparently different sizes. They're not different sizes.
How do you know that? How do you know all stars are the same size?
Oh, no, that's not at all what I'm saying.
No.
It's just that at the distance they are, we cannot see their apparent size in the sky. Okay, there are stars that are so big that if you put them where the sun is, they'd go out past Jupiter almost to Saturn. That is to say, their diameters would put them out past Jupiter's orbit. That's a huge, huge, stupendously, colossally, obscenely large star. All right? So that's what we're talking about here. And but when we see those stars from a long distance that we see them from, they only ever look like points. You know, they're always ever going to be points of light to us. Nothing more. So to us, they all look the same, point of lightness. But they're, there'll be different brightnesses, but they're going to still be points of light evermore for our eyes. You see what I mean now? They're so far away, though, you can't see their diameters. There it is, Hubble's Variable Nebula, and no dome. So that means that we've got something good here.
Mark,
yes, sir?
I know we've talked about this before. What kind of time scale are you talking to see changes? And would that translate into physical size? Like, I know we've looked at this periodically before, and over time you will note changes in the cloud, the light and the dark patches.
Yes, in Hubble's Variable Nebula.
Do you know what kind of time scale you're talking about, and could that be translated into the physical size of the nebula?
Hubble's Variable Nebula you're talking about in particular?
Yes.
Okay. As far as a time frame, I think it's a few weeks, but you know what? It has a varied pattern too, and I want to try and find that time frame for you because it's interesting. Yeah, I can't actually. I can't find any. It looks like it's weeks and months. That's all they give. Over weeks and months, it changes, and we've noticed that actually.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. The star that's doing it.
I assume if you took a series of images on some sort of semi-regular basis and made like a movie or a GIF out of it, GIF that
yes,
you can see it happen over time.
Yes, you could. I would encourage you all to go look at the Hubble images of Hubble's Variable Nebula, and you will see what we see, and you can actually see what I'm talking about when I talk about these stars. They're the star that's illuminating this nebula is not visible. It's R Monoceros. The R is the name of the star. R-M-O-N is the star that's doing this, and it's actually not visible to your eye. You can't see it, so it's pretty much hidden.
It looks like a star falling from space.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's sort of like a comet, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there we go, and now let's go see if we can do one other thing while we're here. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't try it. Okay, the Rosette Nebula is very, very popular. This is a brilliant cluster here. And I'm going to take us there. And then when we go there, we'll see the cluster and maybe even a little bit of these dark areas here. Okay, there's the cluster. You can see it right here. See, that's what it looks like to your eye. But this is what it looks like to the telescope. See, it's like you see the eye, telescope. Eye, telescope. All right. So now let's actually pull us back a little bit. Let's actually go eastward with this. And now, oddly, I'm going to go this way because I want to show you the upper part of the rosette, if we can even show it very clearly right now.
Gas Mask wants to know if they're going to fix the Hubble or just let it die. What's wrong with the Hubble?
The Hubble's doing fine, as far as I know.
Good.
Unless there was some news that I didn't
How old
hear
is
about.
it?
Oh, it's pretty old. Yeah. The Hubble needed glasses. Hubble was hobbled in the very beginning.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
They used to make fun of it.
Yeah, the company that actually made the Hubble and was right here in Danbury, Connecticut, about 40 minutes from me. It's called PerkinElmer. Well, you can see this. So you can see these beautiful, you can see these beautiful dark lanes here. So you can see this is the overall structure. And we need to take longer exposure. Here's a beautiful rippling lanes here. Those are actually gorgeous. Those are neat. Right there. Okay, right here. Let's try something. Just for fun. As if we don't care. Let's actually set the ISO to something whoppingly ridiculous. Let's go to 80,000 ISO for 15 seconds, shall we?
Wow.
And see what we can get.
Mark's gone crazy.
That's right. Astronomer's Gone Wild. The Astronomer's Gone Wild DVD is available at all CVS's and Barnes & Noble bookstores. Okay. Interesting.
I've seen the actual rosette exactly once in my life.
Must have been a dark sky. Look at that. We're starting to see hints of color now.
It was, I remember right, it was a 13-inch telescope with a hydrogen beta filter.
Okay.
It was pale and gray and ghostly, not red like in the stellarium image, but
Oh, yeah.
it was very pale and ghostly, but you could actually see the, why they call it the rosette around the star cluster in the center.
I did a series on the rosette at SkyTour LiveStream 2 years ago. I took pictures of all 4 quadrants and I put them all together in Photoshop. I just went up to 128,000. And having done that now, you can see there's more detail in the rosette. See the dark lanes in here?
Yes.
You can actually see those darker lanes now. But, we're also getting to the point of diminishing returns because we have some sky glow. The rosette's actually not very high in our sky, but it's not terribly low. I'll show you exactly where it is, actually. Let's go back. All right, and let's bring up our beautiful planetaria. Actually, let me just go to here. It's like 44 degrees up from the horizon, which is not much, unfortunately. But we can go down further and see some really cool things if we can. Might be able to. I've always wanted to see this, but it's kind of low at 35 degrees. Let's try it. This is called the Butterfly or the Hourglass. And it's a planetary nebula. And it's 4,465 light years away. And we won't be able to see... we won't be able to see too much unless I really crank the... the settings here. I'm not going to do 128,000. I'm going to drop it down, though. Let's go down to 25.6 again for 20,000 for 15 seconds. Let's just do that. And see how it looks at those settings. Based on that, I know which way to go up or down, depending on what I see. Justin, that's funny. Oh, dome impingement. No. Okay. The dome is in the way, as you can see. So, alright. So I guess what I have to do is go move the dome again, do I? Let's see where the camera's looking.
Something else.
That would be interesting, Mark, if you could do an overlay in Stellarium showing like the frame of your sky field, the slot in the dome, the shutter.
Oh, yeah, I only have the camera view.
Yeah.
You're right. If I had an overlay. But see, that'd be too much work because, for Arizona, it would be just wide open. Except for one little notch toward the north. It's actually the northwest corner that I'm going to have be the location where the roof of the building rolls off to. So we won't have any view toward the northwest. But then again, if we had a view to the northwest, that's a spot we would have been able to see all year until late in the season. So it'd be that's the one direction the building can be. The blockage of the sky will be toward the northwest.
I guess I was thinking in terms of your dome there in Connecticut.
Yep.
But that would get back into, having to have some sort of an encoder, I guess, or absolute position way to determine and relay position and stepper motors and all that stuff.
I have stepper motors right in front of me here, the big ones. Okay, I was almost going to motorize my dome, and then I realized.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're right. You were around me for that, and I almost did it, and then I said, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to go to Arizona. I am not going to. I'm going to have a building that has a roof that just rolls off. That is so much more of a positively better solution, because as soon as the building roof rolls off, the entire building is now exposed to the outside air. The climate inside changes drastically within minutes. A dome, you open the slot, you got to wait for currents to settle out for up to 45 minutes. Roll-off roof, it's about a minute and a half. Yep. Okay, we're gonna do 12,800 for 15 seconds on the massive red supergiant Betelgeuse in Orion. Let's hope that the dome isn't in the way. Either way, I'm going to go move it so we can check out other things.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, Daryl's going to have to hold us over. Oh, look, we're just getting a little bit of impingement. How can you tell? You can tell by the shape of the reflection. It's on the edge. It's not quite there, but you can see there's a little spike here. That spike is related to the fact that there is an element of the dome that's infecting this view, although it's not infecting it with enough to become a problem for the light being red, Can you hang on there can you hold everybody over for a minute, Daryl, while I go and move it?
Sure.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Folks, while Mark is gone and Amanda's gone, I'll try to entertain you. Mark talked earlier about stars. Even though they're big and some are absolutely huge, they're all so far away that they just appear like literal points of light to us by eye. And Betelgeuse here is a rare exception to that. Betelgeuse is close enough, and it is so darn big that they can actually directly measure its size through the telescope. It's not just a point of light. It's a great big bloated red supergiant. It's not even spherical. It's got big lobes and clouds sticking out of it at odd places. And it's slowly pulsing, if I remember correctly. Like a big old giant red heart slowly beating up in space. And that's Betelgeuse. That's Orion's right shoulder. We see it on the left side because he's facing us, so his left is our right and vice versa. But when we look at Orion the Hunter, the figure of the constellation, Betelgeuse there is his right shoulder. And his right arm is raised up to the upper left in this image. He's holding a club in his arm, in his hand. His head is to the upper right as we see it here. This is a kind of a close-up view. And I bet you dollars to donuts we will, once he gets the dome moved, there's a lot to look at in Orion, and I bet we look at quite a few of them. And he's back. Welcome back, Mark.
How'd you know I was back?
I saw you.
Oh, okay. So did you regale them with some stories?
I just bored them with information about Betelgeuse and the constellation, and that being his right shoulder, and where we just were was up by his right arm, raised up to the upper left as we look at it.
Yeah.
And I talked about Betelgeuse being the exception to what you said earlier, about stars being so distant that they're just like points of light to us.
Oh, good.
Betelgeuse is one of the rare exceptions to that. It is so big that we can actually physically tell it has dimension to it. It's not just a point.
Yeah, we can actually see its shape, and it has this weird oblate bubbling on its side. And those are what are thought to be massive convection cells on the surface of a red giant that's about to go supernova. That's the star Betelgeuse. Let's do another 15-second shot here of it to show you the difference between when we have something blocking the dome and something not blocking the dome. So you see that spike right there, okay? Now watch the difference. See the difference?
Yep.
Okay, we went from this to this. All right, so it's a much cleaner view.
Diffraction spikes.
Yep. Yeah. And that star, actually, let's just drop this into the edit for now. I want to show you something about this. I know it has a weird color, but that's the filter that we're using. If we actually go in and we change the color temperature, if we correct for that blue color, then we see Betelgeuse for the color it really is, which is this. Okay, now we see Betelgeuse in just about the right color. All right, and that is definitely what we would see rather than this other thing. So that said, okay, we come back here. We know that this is a color partially induced. The magenta is induced by the filter. But let's go to here, and let's go to our amazing, beautiful planetarium. Let's see. I know Amanda asked for it before, so that's where we're going to go. Is she back yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We must be going to the flame, though.
Yeah.
We are.
Yes, we are. So, this is Al-Nitak. It's a 09.5 star. So it's almost a B-type star. The stars go from 01 to 09.5 with the decimals in between. You can have an 01.5 and 03.5. And this is an 09.5. And it's one of the largest stars and hottest stars in the universe. And this star was not there when Lucy roamed the African plains. Lucy was Australopithecus afarensis, if you recall. It was the first hominid that was one of our identified precursors. When Lucy roamed the plains in around Olduvai Gorge, there was no Al-Nitak in the sky. Al-Nitak is younger than Lucy. So Lucy would have come and gone, and there would be no star in the leftmost location in the belt of Orion. So it's pretty interesting. In fact, there's only two stars that would have been here at all, and I think it would be Al-Nilam was there. I don't think Mintaka and I don't think Al-Nitak were there. It would have just been one star in the belt at that time, I believe.
Not much of a belt, huh?
Yeah, it's Australia. It's Orion's button.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that'd be just about right for the belly button if Al-Nilam was by itself.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, let's just take a look now and head down to here. You'll see Betelgeuse take a hike now. Wing, there it goes. And now, hello, just in time, hun, because we're going to Al-Nitak, which is here. And then the Flame Nebula, which is here. Would you like to see the Flame Nebula?
Yes, I brought that up earlier.
Yes, I know, and that's why we're here. For you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so...
We're taking the long way around.
It wasn't a long way. Was it? Was it really? Maybe it was. Yeah, you're right.
4 stars ago.
Maybe it was. Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun little tour.
It is.
Hence the name.
All right, 12:08 at 15 seconds. Off we go into the wild black yonder. And hey, D Smith, how you doing? All right, now let's see what we got for the flame.
Ooh.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. And let's just let me go back for a second to the.
I'm more impressed with the blue star.
Yeah, that's on the talk.
On the talk.
We wanted to do 20 seconds at like 25.6. Get a little brighter. What's that, Daryl?
Didn't we talk recently about that small star immediately above Alnitak?
Yes.
Whether it might have been a physical, secondary?
I believe we did talk about that. And Alnitak's, we looked at Alnitak, we went to this star. And it is a double star. But I'm not sure if this... Oh, wow, there we go. Look at that. Now the flame's showing up nicely. As you can see, I'm sorry, we'll get back to that in a second. As you can see, when we get enough time in on an exposure, then the color comes through. So the Flame Nebula really has some beauty here. Let's jump over to the editor, as I was mentioning, and let's go ahead and let me just get in here for a minute. Something's not right. Hold on.
Do we ever go to Bellatrix often?
We have not.
Why not?
I don't know. We should.
We should.
Yeah, we should go to Bellatrix. Because we don't often find ourselves going to Bellatrix, do we? Alright, well there's the flame. And now let's first of all, let's do some color correction, shall we? So here we go. Now we're going to color correct for this here, which is automatically going to make the flame stand out a little more, as you can see. And then what we do is we come down and we play with some of the contrasty colors. Not too much, just enough to kind of show us some of the details down there. We want the blacks to be black, we want the whites to be white. Okay, but not terribly too much. We don't want to do it so much that it cuts stuff out. Alright, and then we're going to turn on this dynamic range, and that's going to brighten everything up just a bit, including the nebula. As you can see, makes it really looks nice and bright there. And then as we move our way down, we can also we can do things like add some sharpness. Alright, so I can sharpen the image a little bit, and you can see a little more detail there. Too much sharpness as far as I'm concerned. That was a little too much. But then another thing we can do is we can actually do auto noise reduction. If we didn't do any noise reduction at all, then this is what it would look like. That's noise. You see all the little mottled colors and everything? Yeah, those mottled colors are the noise. And that doesn't look pretty, does it? But if we remove that noise, okay, then this is what we get. And it's a lot nicer. That's exactly what we want to see. A little better. Okay? And now if we come down, we can actually, because this is a red nebula, well, I happen to know a little bit about this nebula, so I know that if we do this and adjust the tonality a little bit, then we will find that actually you gotta move it down here. Hang on a minute. Just a sec. Now I can move this, and you can actually see how we can call out more of the detail in this nebula. See that? So now we actually see more detail in this nebula than we did before. All because of the fact that we can just do a little bit of simple editing.
But now the star looks more purpley.
Yeah, we can fix that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can fix that. Actually, if I were to go into the blue color, if we want to take the blue and play with that, well, let's do it. And now what I can do is I can bring the blue of the star up, okay, but it takes everything with it. And we don't want all of it to go with me. So we would have to monkey with that a little bit more, probably in Photoshop, and do some per star work. But notice how you can see the modeling of this nebula very clearly now. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So editing on the fly is kind of cool. It's a little bit of like what Photoshop can do, but not exactly what Photoshop can do. Okay, Photoshop can do a lot more. So for now, this is the Flame Nebula that you asked for. I hope you are happy with that.
Oh, I think it's beautiful.
Nice. All right, and of course, there are people that just are anxious to see a number of different things in Orion, because Orion is so beautiful. So one of those things that people want to see, of course, is way down here below Orion's belt, and that is none other than the Running Man Nebula here, and that's what we're going to go look at now. I know, I just kidded with you. So the Running Man, we head on down to the east, southeast, I'm sorry, west, southwest, and we see these beautiful stars. And what are those stars? Well, those stars are a location where the starlight is scattering light from the starlight's being scattered by dust in this region. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go look at that dust in this region. And so here it is. This is the Running Man Nebula. 20 seconds at 25,600. And we're going to lock it in really tight right here and go. Hey, Dee Dee's here. Hi there. I didn't see you, hon. Okay, and now when the Running Man comes in, you'll actually see what I'm talking about here. Here it comes. Look at that. That's the beautiful Running Man. Now you'll say, well, wait a minute. I really can't tell the difference between this and the rest. Well, to do that, again, let's jump over to our quick editor that we can use here. All right, and when we look at the editor here, we start immediately by doing the things that we know work. We're going to change the colors. We're going to make sure the color correction is done correctly. And it's not right now, and we're going to make it done correctly. So this is more correct. All right. Then we're going to play with contrast just a little and make sure the shadows stand out just a little more. Then we're going to turn on our dynamic range to pull out some detail, as you can see. Okay, and then we're going to come down and we can actually saturate a little more and get some more of the blue from that nebula. All right, and this is helpful because now you can actually start to see this other area here. You see that? That's important. It tells us a lot about this nebula. Now we can also add some noise reduction. Right now we're doing manual noise reduction. Let's bring it up to a higher level and see how much that works for us. Okay, the noise reduction seems successful here. Looks pretty nice. Okay. Now, yeah, you're gonna say something, Daryl?
I see Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Running Man, you know?
Yeah.
That was... Never mind.
No. Remember that show? Richard Dawson was the he was game show host.
Game show host.
You know? Remember that? He stuck him through the wall with a spike and he goes, stick around. It was a movie full of just really bad jokes. Okay, so we're going to play with the tone curves here. And then the noise reduction takes over. Ah, look at that. And now, come back up. And let's see if I can color correct a little more here for the background.
Excuse me a moment, please.
I'll be right here. Okay, let's try that. Will that work? No. So anyway, here's the Running Man. This is a single shot. Now imagine the view. We've done this. Imagine the view when we take 10 or 20 of these and then stack them. We get rid of all the noise and then we see things so much more clearly. But this is kind of like the new SkyTour LiveStream standard. We are getting far better singular shots than ever before. And I think it's pretty cool. What do you think, Amanda?
I agree.
See, so we see this area. This is an area that's partly emission nebula. Okay, and then we have dark clouds here. And this is dark clouds of dust. And where the starlight is scattering the star, where the starlight is being scattered by the dust, we see this blue area. Okay. And then we have this down here, this little incursion. This is a dark nebula that's between us and the background cloud. So it's why it's in the foreground to us. It's right there in front of us and in front of that cloud. And it sort of occludes the cloud. But that's the Running Man. That's beautiful. I mean, that's just stunning. I wish I could go right inside of it. Wow. Not bad for a 20-second exposure, guys. Not bad at all. You know? So, and in Arizona, I can't even begin to tell you how much better it's going to look. Because I honestly couldn't fathom a guess. It's probably stunning. Absolutely stunning. Okay. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's head to the Orion Nebula and see this beautiful jewel of the night sky, shall we? Yes, we shall. So now we just go down a little.
Gerald.
He's back, yep. So now we go
Thank
back.
you.
And here's the Orion Nebula. You'll notice that we see the 4 stars of the trapezium in there. And those 4 stars are quite hot. In part, they are powering this entire nebula. You know. And get a better look at them, we can just take a zoom into them. And then I'll move this over so you can see. This is sort of a zoomed view to kind of give you an idea. Went the wrong way, sorry. It's actually my focusing view that I like to use. And I'm going to just run us through a little focus again. Say it's out of focus. Now I'm going to run it again. If you're in the dome, you'd hear bzzz right now as it's going through its motions. Okay, and then down. Okay, that's pretty good. I know, not much different. But there's 4 stars in there. You got 1, 2, and 3, 4 up there. These stars are other stars in the Orion Nebula. And so now, what we can do is we can take a photo. It looks like this right now. And in a small telescope, this is all you'd see. In a larger telescope, let's just go through this. Okay. In a larger telescope, you might see the central core, which has this modeling to it like we see here. All right. Right, it looks like that, which is really pretty. And then if we were to look at it through a more modest telescope, a little more powerful, then we would notice that we'd see it about like this. Add another inch of aperture and it might look like this, except it would only ever look like it's in black and white, maybe a slightest hint of green. It would never be in color like this. Color is what happens when you can accumulate light from a source. If you can't accumulate the light, like the human eye, it's in your eye, then it's gone. And then unfortunately, you'll only ever see it as a dim object as black and white. In a big telescope, you might see this. Okay, this might look that way, the Orion Nebula. So, now if we go and bring ourselves back up to what we were. Okay, let's go and do 20 seconds. No, not even 20 seconds. Let's say 8 seconds is good, yeah. But let's do it at 6400. Okay, just to see what that looks like. So 8 seconds, Orion Nebula, 6400, go. Hey Nancy W, how are you? I just saw your hello. Nice to see you. Alright, so this is the epitome of a good Orion Nebula photo. Why? Because you can actually see the trapezium stars in there. Normally, the trapezium stars they cause it all to be blown out. But not today. See what I'm doing? You can see the modeling in there. You see all 4 trapezium stars nicely there. And you see the detail of the nebula around it. This is beautiful. This is a gorgeous photo because you can actually see the things that are lighting up the heart of the Orion Nebula. Isn't that pretty? I just think that's gorgeous. And I don't mind talking to myself. I really don't, because I do all the time.
Listening.
Oh no, I know you are, but I'm just saying I don't mind because it sort of came out wrong. I don't mind saying this because I just find this to be beautiful. And I can combine a shot like this with a shot for 30 seconds, and just use this for the inner part of the nebula, and then use the other stuff for the outside, and get a full balanced image of the Orion Nebula, which is something I want to do at some point. So, it's deep inside this nebula, all right, in this region here where we actually see stars that are being formed. And we also see things called proplyds. That's Proplyds. And proplyds are protoplanetary disks. So, along with the star formation, we see that there are planets being formed around some of the stars in the Orion Nebula. That is just outstanding because it tells us an awful lot about our universe. And that is that planets are a fixture. Now, we always knew that. I always knew that. But science didn't always know that. We all suspected it. Science did too, but never dared to say it was true until recently. When you look up at the night sky and you look at all the many stars you can see in the darkest place on Earth, know that there's a fundamental truth out there. And that fundamental truth is that there's more planets than there are stars that you can see. And that is a truism for the universe. And so, on average, every star has a planet. On average. Actually, on average, every star has more than one planet. On average. So we're talking a lot of planets out there. Way more planets than stars. So it's an amazing universe. It's an amazing time. I really enjoy the astronomy because I get to learn, even me, I learn new things all the time. You know? And so tonight I will leave you with the one photo that is of the Orion Nebula that I think spells it out for me, and that is this next photo that I'll take. This one is the Orion Nebula as the new planets would see it. So here's the shot that I'll take for you to end the stream tonight.
And Tara wanted to know if the color was due to the gases or if you changed it with your filter.
That's a very good question, Tara, and I'm going to tell you exactly how it works. Here comes the picture, and let's take a look. Now, in this image, you can actually see that there's a lot of color in the Orion Nebula. Let's bring it into our editor just to do what we do with this. And the first thing I'll do, Tara, is I will change the colors to be more realistic. So I'm taking this down to a more realistic shade. That's more realistic right there. And then we're going to increase some of the contrast a little bit. Not too much. And now we're going to come down and get rid of, or actually create some more detail by kicking up the dynamic range. Now we're going to, I'm not going to add any, I'll just add a little tiny bit of sharpening. We don't really want sharpening in this one. We don't need it. And then I'm going to kick in more noise reduction. So here we go. Sounds like I'm on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood here. So there we go. So there was a nice realistic view, a nice view of the Orion Nebula. And now I'm going to answer Tara's question. The gases that we see here are gases. This black stuff, this is dust. These dust grains are very small. They're micron-sized dust grains. That's a very small value. And what we see with these dust grains is a ability for these dust grains to block light that's behind them. Now, in the case of some stars, then what we'll see, like with the Running Man Nebula, is those dust grains scatter some of the light from the blue hot stars, and thus we see blue clouds. And that's scattering of the light by those dark clouds. But when we see the orange here, this is called hydrogen alpha. It's a transition in the hydrogen atom where the electrons are bounced right off of the atom. That's called ionization. And now you just have a hydrogen proton, a nucleus, floating around for a split second. Then the electron that's gained energy from the hot young stars in here, the trapezium and others, that energy bleeds away and the electron drops down into another hydrogen atom, if not the same one. And as it drops down into the hydrogen atom, it drops to a particular energy level. These electrons drop to many different levels in the hydrogen atoms when they recombine. It's called recombination. But when they drop to these different levels, there's one level that they drop to most often, and that is this particular level where this red characteristic light is given off on that transition to that level. And that level is called, for you want to know, n equals 2, number 2. And at that n equals 2 level, it gives off the light of hydrogen alpha. All right, this is also known as singly ionized hydrogen light, and thus are known as H2 regions, Roman numeral 2. H1, Roman numeral 1, is the ground state, a proton and an electron, and that's the ground state of a hydrogen atom. When you ionize it, it becomes H2, so H Roman numeral 2, so H like II. And so H2 regions are what we call these in general. They're areas, again, where the electrons bopped off the atom and then recombined with the atom, and as it comes down into the atom, it loses energy, gives off energy. That energy is predominantly in the red end of the spectrum, and that's that hydrogen alpha. I think it's like 63 angstroms or 653 nanometers. But don't worry about the numbers. The bottom line here is that that's where this color comes from. The hot stars cause the electrons to gain energy, and when those electrons give the energy up, they do so by dropping back into the atom and giving off light as they give up the energy. All right. Then we see these areas here around the nebula, which are kind of a bluish, really interesting haze. And you say, well, wait, is that like the reflection nebula we saw above? You know, the scattering nebula like we saw at the Running Man Nebula? And the answer is no. This is from another element in the periodic table. But it's not singly ionized element, it's a doubly ionized element. Daryl, you know what that element is? You do.
O3.
You got it. It's oxygen. And when we see an oxygen atom that gets 2 electrons popped off of it, the predominant location that those electrons jump down to when they go back into the atom is a certain energy level where they give off this particular color of bluish green light. And that's why planetary nebula look the way they do, because that's the same light, the same thing happening there. It all comes from hot stars ionizing these atoms like this. So this is basically the Orion Nebula in a nutshell. It's a stellar nursery where stars are being born all the time, all throughout this cloud. It's a place where oxygen atoms are caused to glow and hydrogen atoms are caused to glow. It's really quite an interesting place. It's no place where you could live. The radiation from all the hot young stars in here goes out several light years, and it will sterilize anything in its path. Where life comes about is when these clouds of ionized gas are pushed away by the stars, and then the cluster of stars that are young and hot in here migrate apart, and they start to take on lives of their own without being affected by any other stars nearby. That's when life and the potential for life is highest. You won't find creatures living inside of a nebula. That's probably a very unlikely circumstance. There's too much radiation, it's too hot. So, but this is the Orion Nebula, and hopefully that little exploration of the Orion Nebula gives you enough information to make you realize that you'll never want to be an astronomer. That's a joke. If you ever want to be an astronomer, go ahead and contact me, and I'll talk to you about the kinds of things you might want to consider if you ever want to go down that path. I did get a degree in it, and it's something that I have spent my life exploring. You never, ever forget about your astronomical past. So, folks, I want to thank you for coming out to SkyTour LiveStream tonight. I want to thank Daryl and Amanda for joining me tonight. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're wonderful.
And thank you to chat for being here.
Oh, I was just about to say, our chat is the most wonderful chat there is, Amanda, and you know. We always thank our KGRA listeners. We always thank our SkyTour LiveStream watchers. And don't forget, Sunday on kgraradio.com, we will be doing a visual tour of the cosmos. It'll be adapted for radio, but it's actually going to be for those on KGRA DB, as in Delta Baker, or Delta Bravo, DB, KGRA DB on YouTube. Join that channel. You will see SkyTour Radio taking on a whole new look as we take you on a visual tour of the cosmos. And we will come here, and we can circle the Orion Nebula in 3D. We can go to the stars and circle around them. We can go to different nebulae and go through them and around them. Go through globular clusters and watch the stars vanish around you as you go past the center of the heart of the cluster. Everything is correct. We can travel through the disk of the Milky Way. We can go everywhere. And this is amazing. We can even go see many of the trillion other galaxies that are out there and visit each and every one of them too. It's a very high power application, and we will be using it on SkyTour Radio on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to 10 p.m. All right. But if you can only listen to the radio, you're not going to feel like you're missing anything, because it is a radio broadcast first, and it will be a visual presentation second. All right. So join us, and you can join both me and Amanda, and of course Daryl, and because we are the happy triumvirate that makes up SkyTour Radio now. And we dragged Daryl in kicking and screaming. He was like, he didn't want to do it. He said, "Oh, I'm too arrogant," and stuff like that. And that I was always, making fun of people and stuff. Because you know how I am. I'm just that way, right? So.
You did.
I'm kidding.
Well, all I can say is I no longer see Bill Murray eating a Baby Ruth in that picture. Now I see Hetty Youngman smoking a cigar. Okay.
That's funny. And he's talking about this area right here, guys. This is called the Bay in the Orion Nebula. Yeah. Well, guys, that's funny, Daryl. Thank you so much. And thanks, Amanda. And you know what, to you guys in chat, thank you all for coming. I want to thank all the many people that joined us tonight. And, you know, not all of you get listed in the participant list for some reason. I don't know why. But I want to say thank you to CND Boy, D Smith, of course, Daryl, DDB, thank you, hon. And of course, Amanda, who's Danny Fan 1, Gas Mask, Headband Harvest, John Brown, Justin T, Katie Q, Mary Grace Kirby, Neutrino, me, SkyTour Livestream, and Tara D. Thank you so much. And if your name didn't show up or you didn't hear your name, it's because I don't understand how this works, but I think that we caught most of you guys. So that said, I hope you guys have a good evening. Some of the imagery...
Happy Christmas, everybody. I'm not sure if I'll be around before then or not.
Maybe, maybe not. But Merry Christmas to everybody. And we will be back. We do have a live show this weekend, and we might have a loyal lurker here, and John Brown. Yeah.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
We're a pretty friendly bunch. Feel free to join in the conversation anytime the mood hits.
Oh, yeah, great. And John, thank you for the compliments. That's very kind. Lastly, I'll just say to you, if you didn't hear it before, behind me on the floor is the West Coast telescope for SkyTour Livestream. It has arrived, and I will be outfitting it here, getting it ready. And we will be using it here in SkyTour Livestream East to test it out and get it ready as the building in SkyTour Livestream West is being constructed. That will happen, the construction will happen starting in February. And for that time, until it's ready, we're going to be using the brand new system here at SkyTour East, and then move it out there to the West. It's quite a bundle. It's a massive set of boxes. And I chased the UPS truck around today because they missed the delivery. I missed their arrival. And the UPS driver said, I just wanted to get this out of my truck. It's so heavy. It's so big. It's got so many pieces to it. I go, yeah, it's okay. So he came back up a second time unannounced. They normally say, we'll come back Monday. You know, no. He came back tonight because he wanted it out of his truck. And that was very kind. He actually had to bring a second person to carry all the pieces. So we're going to set it up and we're going to get it running. And then you will... I might make an unboxing video too, so you can see just what's involved with it. It's no small thing. It's got some heft to it. And getting it up into the observatory is going to be a little tricky. I'll need several people to help hoist it and get it up onto the main mount. Aligning it shouldn't be a problem because this particular telescope is so good at aligning itself. I make it easy for it. So I'm pleased. Anyway, you guys have a good night.
You too.
And I thank you. That's very. That's Amanda, guys. Such a sweetheart. And I will talk to you again soon. I'm going to go out and close up the observatory. When we have this set up for real, I will just have to go into some software and tell the dome or tell the telescope roof to close and tell the telescope to just go park itself for the night. And with 300 clear nights a year expected in the Sonoran Desert, I don't suspect we're going to have a lot of downtime when we're out there doing this. All right? And there is going to be a second pier in that building, as I've said before. And if anyone has a telescope that they would like to operate remotely and put in there, we can discuss it, because that pier is going to be rented to a university or to an individual who would like to do their own research, and that will be done independently of what we do with SkyTour Livestream. All right? We could check in on them and we can watch what they're doing without interfering. That's kind of the cool thing. We'll be able to kind of piggyback and watch. But we are going to have a second pier for anyone that wants to do work in there by themselves. And that could be you if you're interested in that. Anyway, I will talk to you guys again the next clear night, which could be as soon as tomorrow, Saturday night. I do have to go to the studio tomorrow, but I will be back before evening, I believe. So you guys have a good evening, and I will talk to you on the flip-flop. We'll see you later.
Good night, everybody.